Ever notice how some performers get standing ovations while others get polite claps? Everyone assumes it's about talent, but it's not. Audiences don't fall in love with technical skill. They fall in love with emotional leadership. You can hit every move perfectly and still feel invisible on stage. Just like how you can go on a technically perfect date and feel absolutely nothing. What people remember is how you made them feel. When a performer is emotionally present, open, grounded, connected, the audience mirrors that. They feel included, they feel seen, and that's what creates tips. That's what creates rebookings. That's what turns strangers into fans. So stop performing like you're trying to impress and start performing like you're inviting people into something. Showing love on stage and off stage is a performance skill. Comment heart below if you want audience chemistry. Here is what every performer needs to hear. You are not in the business of being affordable. You are in the business of being a luxury experience. Think about Valentine's Day. You're not buying just some grocery store chocolate. You're buying something special, something curated, something meant to be felt. That's your work. So when you worry about being too expensive, remember, your clients aren't looking for cheap. They're looking for unforgettable. I have a super wild guess. My assumption is you have never fallen in love with somebody because they were technically perfect. Because they were perfect. I'm assuming that you fell in love because of how you felt around them. Because they were so easy to be around and so enjoyable, right? Performers create experiences, right? We shape atmospheres, we sparkle environments, and audiences work in the same way. You can be a flawless and forgettable performer. Or you can be messy and somehow magnetic. People don't remember what you did. They really don't. They remember how you made them feel. Whether that is on a stage or on a date, the concept is really the same. Skill makes you competent, yes, but energy is what makes you unforgettable. You ever been on a date where you could just tell that the date was trying way too hard? They're watching your reactions, they're gripping the outcome, and that tension is just not attractive. Which is why it begs me to address the fact that this is exactly what happens when performers go on stage in survival mode. I need this gig, I need these tips. The audience feels it, and it's icky. Seduction on stage and in business happens when you're relaxed, grounded, and present. Keep that in mind the next time you go on a date and the next time you take the stage. You know what? Just take the stage over the dates, because who needs the date? Unless, of course, that date is the date of the booking, because that's the date that you want to go on. That's the date that you need. You know what? Mwah! Performers, when you pitch a booker, notice what's happening in your body. I mean, are you curious of if this gig actually fits you? Or are you secretly hoping they'll choose you so that way you can feel wanted? No! What? That's crazy. Those are two very different energies. When you pitch from self-trust, it feels like offering an invitation. But when you pitch from insecurity, it feels like not trying to be abandoned. You sent the email. You're refreshing the inbox. You're replaying what you just wrote. And that's not professional sales. That's anxious energy. That's just wearing a business hat. High-level performers don't pitch to be liked. They pitch to see if there is alignment. As uncomfortable as that might sound right now, why would you want to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation in a gig that you don't actually want to work, rather than approach it from a high level of the comfort of if this is actually somebody you want to work with or not? Here's an uncomfortable truth. You don't need to be everyone's type. You don't need to be universally liked. You do need to be unmistakably you. Trying to be everyone's taste is what is making you forgettable. It smooths out the edges that make people fall in love with your work. And the right bookers, the right venues, the right audiences will feel a yes in their body when they see the authentic you. And that, my darling, that is alignment. And alignment is more powerful than approval. And if you're struggling to be everyone's type in relationships, in friendships, I guarantee you're doing it in business also. Performers, there is a huge difference between explaining your value and apologizing for it. A lot of performers think that they have to justify their rates, so they start giving out the whole recipe. Well, I pay for costumes and insurance and rehearsals and suddenly it sounds like you're begging someone to agree that you deserve to be paid. But secure performers don't sell the recipe, they sell the meal. You don't go to a restaurant and get a breakdown of how much butter was used or how long the chef trained. You're told this is a 5-star dish, here's the price, and either you want it or you walk out. And therein lies the difference between what confidence pricing looks like. Granted, you can educate the booker on the why, but you have to do it in such a way that it doesn't come across needy and instead professional. Because the right clients don't need convincing, they just need clarity. Comment how below if you're interested in the exact pitch to send that keeps it professional and not needy. When someone says you're too much, what they usually mean is you just don't fit what I'm willing to give. Have we not all had an ex tell us this? How true this is in relationships. And also, how true this is in business. Which leads me to, you're not hard to love. You're not hard to love. You might have been told this before, but really what this means is you're just priced for the wrong audience. Some people simply just don't enjoy an experience. Some people would rather sit on the couch eating Cheetos. So why, might you ask, are people not treating you at the standard that you are, which is a luxury, but are instead trying to pull you down and degrade you and make you apologize for being a luxury? You must not be holding yourself at the standard of being a luxury experience. Why might that be? You are doing one of two things wrong, and I can help you fix that with just a few steps. Comment more below if you would like some help with that. Performers, if you tolerate crumbs in your love life, you will tolerate crumbs in your business also. People love to pretend that these are separate, but they are in fact not. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a flaky partner and a flaky client. If you chase emotionally unavailable people, you will chase emotionally unavailable bookers. If you stay in one-sided friendships, you will also stay in underpaid gigs. Low self-worth doesn't clock out at 5 p.m. It shows up as over-explaining, undercharging, saying yes when you really want to say no. And that's not hustle, that is survival. When you heal how you accept love, you automatically raise how you accept money, treatment, and opportunities. High-value performers don't just know their worth. Their body believes it. Comment upgrade if you're raising your standards everywhere. Being chosen feels so good, and it hits that old part of you that just wants to be wanted, you know? But being valued, that's the part that builds the career. And a lot of performers are secretly auditioning for approval, and they lower their price. They make themselves easier. They try to be agreeable. And that keeps them busy, but it does not make them powerful. High-value performers don't try to be chosen. They become expensive to ignore. They show up with standards. They have clear pricing, and they don't bend themselves into whatever shape someone else wants. That's what creates better gigs, better money, better treatment. Comment a wave below if you want to know the exact steps that you need in order to get this outcome. Have you ever noticed you just kinda get what you tolerate? Whether that be in relationships, in friendships, in bookings, in all the above. If you accept crumbs emotionally, you'll accept crumbs financially. Money, or lack thereof, isn't a punishment, it's a mirror. So raise your standards in one area, and honestly, your standards will rise everywhere. If you want to know what exactly it is that you're doing wrong, comment a flower below and I will reach out. You know that feeling when someone keeps texting you saying how much they like you, but they never actually make a plan? That's either a pen pal or a situationship. And gigs do this too. Say things like, so excited about you, we'd love to have you, we'll be in touch, and then no contact. No deposit, no date, and because you still want it to work, you stay available. You keep checking your phone, and that is not opportunity, that is emotional limbo. You're bending yourself backwards, quite literally, until your back will literally break from not being able to flex anymore. The good news is high quality bookings don't flirt. They commit. I will say though, just because a booker isn't responding might not be because they're not high quality bookers. It might be because your pitch is not high quality. And so they're in fact ghosting you because you're lacking the quality. So comment quality below if you want to know how to send the proper pitch. Have we not all experienced a booker who just keeps asking for one more thing, one more clip, one more audition, one more free favor? And it sounds professional until you realize weeks have passed and no decision has been made. That's not evaluating. That is extracting, and you are not an endless free sample. Professional relationships have a moment where someone decides, and if they won't decide, that is information. You are fully allowed to say, I've sent everything I can. Let me know if you would like to move forward. Boundaries don't scare away real clients. They reveal who was never planning to hire you in the first place. If you grew up having to perform, no pun intended, to be loved, that looked like being good, being useful, being impressive, that pattern doesn't just disappear when you start a business. In fact, it shows up as overworking, overgiving, staying in deals that don't feel good because leaving feels unsafe. You know, you don't have to bleed in order to earn money. You just need to be clear. And you don't have to exhaust yourself to be worthy of being paid. I think so many of us end up becoming performers because we're so used to have performed our entire life. So comment below if this resonated with you. Truth bomb of the day: your nervous system is not actually being run by your talent. In fact, it is being run by your nervous system. If being seen ever felt unsafe, you'll hide in marketing, you'll soften your messages, you'll post less, and if asking for money ever felt dangerous, you'll undercharge, you'll discount, you'll say yes when you really mean no. This is not strategy because you are operating from survival. You can invest in every course in the world, but if your body thinks visibility equals danger, your brand will keep playing small. When you feel safe being seen and being paid, everything will change. And of course, having the right blueprint, because if you don't have the right blueprint, you don't know where you're going. And how can you feel safe if you have absolutely no clue where you're going? Because you're not safe, you're lost. So comment blueprint below and let's figure out where you're trying to go. Here's some food for thought. Every time you step on stage, you're being introduced, not technically, but emotionally. Comparatively, on a first date, people don't decide whether they like you based on how, impressive you are. They decide based on how present you feel to them. And ain't that exactly what an audience reads from you? If you perform like you're afraid of being rejected, the room will tighten. But if you perform like you're inviting people into your world, the room leans in. Connection is what gets remembered. Connection is what gets tipped. Connection is what gets you booked again and again. Comment date below if you want to learn how to really hone in to this connection, to connect with your audience, and turn your calendar of dates into bookings. Did you know that people don't tip techniques? They tip emotion. Think about the last time that somebody really moved you. I guarantee you didn't reward them because they were so perfect. You rewarded them because they made you feel something, which is exactly how tipping works with performance. Two performers can do the exact same act. One connects, the other doesn't. One walks away with a jar full of tips. The other walks away with maybe a couple bucks of guilt. If your tips are low, don't polish your choreography. Instead, try opening up your energy. If you fundamentally need to be liked, you'll say yes to everything. You'll lower your price. You'll over-deliver. Having approval feels good, but it doesn't create respect. The performers who get paid the best aren't usually the ones that everyone likes, due to the fact that they are the ones who know their own worth. Comment worth below if you want to know just how much you are actually worth and what your prices could be raised to if you did know your worth, because you really are missing out.